Every year, an estimated 500,000 visitors come to the Soo Locks to see freighters move between Lake Superior and Lake Huron. But the locks are more than a tourist attraction. They're a vital link in Great Lakes shipping routes, and this winter, they're about to get a major facelift.
Of all the Great Lakes ports, the busiest by far is Duluth. 35 million short tons of cargo, mostly iron ore, coal, and grain, depart that port every year. The coal and iron ore go mainly to smelters in the lower Great Lakes, and the grain mostly goes overseas. During its journey, practically all the cargo that leaves Duluth goes through the Soo Locks on the St. Mary's River. Of course, it wasn't always this way. The St. Mary's River drops 21 feet over rapids on its way from Lake Superior to Lake Huron. Ships couldn't pass, so cargo had to be unloaded and carried around the rapids. The process was slow, too slow for the industrial age. Kevin Sprague is the Soo Locks area engineer.
As the mining started to open up in the western Upper Peninsula, the copper mines in the Keweenaw, iron ore mines in the Marquette area, and then iron discoveries in the Mesabi Range in Minnesota, the need for a more efficient mode of transportation became apparent.
The first ship-size lock was completed in 1855, meaning ships could bypass the rapids and be lifted or lowered as they moved from one lake to another. More and larger locks were added over the next 100 years. As more and more high-quality coal and iron ore moved through the lakes, it shaped the development of the region. The industrial might of the Rust Belt was built on cargo that moved through the Soo Locks. Jim Weekly is president of the Lake Carriers Association, which represents 13 shipping companies with U.S.-flagged vessels on the lakes.
So the whole reason that the steelmaking capacity is concentrated in the Great Lakes region of North America is because of our ability to move cargo efficiently, economically, and in an environmentally friendly way.
The most important lock today is the Poe, completed in 1896 and then expanded in 1968. At 1,200 feet long, 110 feet wide, and 32 feet deep, it's the only lock that can handle a fully loaded modern freighter. That means 90% of the cargo in the Great Lakes can only move through this single lock. As area engineer, Kevin Sprague oversees all operations at the Soo.
About 100% of the iron ore mined in the United States flows through this facility. And that's really critical for the integrated steel mills on the Great Lakes, the blast furnaces. And those create the advanced high-strength steel for the auto industry, so the auto bodies, that kind of thing, and also for the appliance industry and others. So it really affects the entire North American economy. So the U.S., Canadian, and Mexican economies are affected.
If you look at just the Soo Locks alone, 11 million Americans depend on that lock operating. 3 to 5 million Mexicans and Canadians. So it's not just a national treasure, it's a North American treasure. So if the Poe is out of service for 6 months, and this is a Department of Homeland Security statistic, 11 million Americans will become unemployed, 3 to 5 million Canadians and Mexicans will be unemployed, and the layoffs will start within a matter of weeks.
With 3 national economies in the balance, keeping the Poe functioning is a top priority for the Army Corps of Engineers. And that means winter, when ships aren't moving, is actually the busiest season at the locks, despite the extreme conditions.
We have a 10-week outage every year. But that 10-week outage takes place between January 15th and March 25th. And so it's about the coldest time of year here in Sault Ste. Marie. And we have a very tight schedule. So we try to take and fit these projects, these big maintenance projects, into about an 8-week time frame, and it's tight.
Right now, the massive Poe has been drained for critical maintenance work.
Behind me is a miter gate, and so miter gates are in this case, each leaf weighs 220 tons. There's a substantial amount of cracking. We're doing a lot of repairs on the upstream gates, and we're adding stiffener plates. We've gone through a complete electrical rehab, replaced everything electrical on the Poe lock. We've replaced, it's all new control systems. We also have a crew that's doing a clean out of the underfloor drainage system.
For decades, winter at the Soo Locks has meant racing against the clock to get this crucial facility ready to play its role in the region's and the continent's economy. But soon, the locks will enter a new era in their history. In December of 2019, funding was approved for a long-anticipated upgrade to the Soo Locks, including the construction of a new lock as big as the Po. Andriy Saruk is overseeing the billion-dollar construction project.
The plan is to build a twin sister to the Po lock, which requires completely excavating the existing Sabin lock and almost starting from new in its place. The advantage of using the Sabin lock is there's a lot of material already gone. That, you know, there is a chamber there, so it'll be just crushing some concrete and removing some more earth.
But for freighters to get in and out of the new lock, the river will have to be deepened. In the past, that's been done by blasting out bedrock with explosives, but that can cause problems.
For one, it'll be a lot of seismic issues underneath the International Highway Bridge. So there's all kinds of regulations and stipulations of using a blasting technique next to a bridge, you know, that relies on those sound footings to keep the bridge in place. So the mechanical option, if all goes well, will be a safer option for everybody involved.
The project will take at least 7 years, and funding will have to be appropriated annually to move it toward completion. By the time it's all over, the price tag is predicted to be nearly $1 billion.
This is extremely exciting. This is one of the biggest things our small town of Sault Ste. Marie has seen in 50 years since the construction of the Po lock. I'm thrilled to be part of it. I can't explain how excited I am to be part of this team and part of this project.
At Great Lakes Now, we aim to cover the Great Lakes region and the people who live here, like you. Please follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and sign up for our newsletter at greatlakesnow.org.